Ah!
What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, powered today by BetUS, and we are going to be diving into one of the more interesting position battles we have going on midseason. It's the acquisition of Tre'Davious White against Brandon Stevens, a guy that has been under fire from Ravens fans. They make that trade for Trey White, a guy that came back from an injury, was obviously struggling to get back healthy, took a bunch of games off before the trade, and now is integrating himself. And really, where this came from with me was noticing the snap count. So, get the right tweet up. As you can see here, so Brandon Stevens has always been right corner. Even last year, when Ronald Darby was in the mix, he would come in at left corner, play behind Marlon Humphrey, that sort of thing. But Brandon Stevens has always been a 100% snap right corner guy. He's not a guy that rotates out, all that. So I noticed that his snaps dropped to 77% this week. And you can see right here, Trey White playing 20 right corner snaps, Brandon Stevens playing 50. So obviously Trey White becoming a real rotation guy into that right corner spot. So that's about 77 to 33. There's a couple plays that we'll look at the end where they did play the same play. So that's why it's not, they don't add up to 100%. So that's what we're going to be diving into, taking a look at who's better. If you guys are looking forward to this breakdown, if you're excited about what you saw from Trey White early, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, drop a comment down below. Let me know, should Trey White be starting? Before we jump into it, lines are up and ready to go for next week, Monday Night Football. It's the Hardball again. Hardball. I can't talk. The Ravens open as 3-point favorites, and you can get started at BetUS using promo code YouTube150. You'll get 150% sign up bonus, 125% on your next two deposits. More money in your bets, bigger winnings, all that good stuff. More money for you, lovely folks out there. Go check it out. And so let's take a look at what I find so interesting about these two. Just very different players technically, for better or for worse in a lot of cases. So when you look at a guy like Trey White, he is a guy that is a lot more physical, a guy that's a little bit more dominant at the catch point. So he's going to be at the bottom of your screen again, playing that right corner spot. And so this is going to be that deep contested ball. Why is my video lagging so much? Okay, let's replay this. Ooh, that's laggy. So you can see right here the difference in the two. Oh, that's why. I got the wrong video in. Hold on. Jesus. Not good, folks. There we go. Okay. Start playing that. So we can see Trey White. See how he's staying on top of the route the entire time. I'm pausing it right here, but this is the difference in the two. Now, this is a red zone snap, but it's pretty consistent throughout the reps. You can see Trey White staying on top, and what that allows him to do is keep his eyes on the ball. Now, again, red zone snap, he does have the back line as a defender, but you can see as the ball comes in, he's able to eyes on the ball, stay on top of it, and be able to defend it better. When you get into Brandon Stevens, we see this very common, where he's going to be at the bottom of your screen again, and we're looking at that right corner. So he's going to fall for the double move from George Pickens, but then he's going to run with that trail technique. And this, how common do we see this with Brandon Stevens trailing, eyes, ball, back of his head to the ball, and as the ball comes in, he's trying to attach the hands. And the commentators talked about this. It's one of those rare moments where I was like listening to the commentators, like, yeah, they're kind of nailing this. George Pickens is going to show his hands late. And he does that. He lets the ball come to him and shows his hands late because Brandon Stevens is so well known for attacking the hands, attacking the catch point, and not so much playing, he doesn't have his head around, right? So how many times have we talked about that on this channel? So very different players in terms of their ability to get their eyes on the ball. Obviously, Trey White will have issues with completions underneath him. He will fall for double moves because he's playing over top. Brandon Stevens doesn't as much because he's in trail technique chasing. So it's just one of those things where you're getting a different style of player. But let's go through some of Trey White's snaps specifically. So we are going to start with the one we just took a look at. Let me just make this bigger on my end. So again, he's using that back line here. Bottom of your screen again. He's always going to be the right cornerback. So he's going to use that back line as a defender, and he's going to stay on top. And you see right there, as the ball comes in, him taking that position, that is just something that he has done so well throughout his career. super physical guy, a guy with that real Ravens mentality. 5'11", not the biggest dude, but just plays physical, and he plays up through the catch point while having his eyes on it. You get another rep later in this game. Oh, here's the other angle, just so you can kind of see the competitiveness at the catch point. So get the snap out there, ball goes up, and so let's pause it. So here, this is the antithesis of Brandon Stevens. That head is around. He's seeing that ball come in. He's on top of the route, and he's able to play up and attack the ball rather than attack the hands. That's the difference between the two of them. We get another. He's going to be at the top of your screen again, right corner. And so once again, he's using that back line. See how he's staying on top of the route. He's not getting into trail technique where he's riding the hip and going to play the hands. He's on top of the route. And as the ball releases, again, look at him on top of the player. So as that ball comes through, he almost picks that. It's a completely different style of playing corner, and one that I think is giving Trey White some really great returns early. Couple more reps here. He's going to be on the top of your screen, right corner again against a tight end. And just look at the physicality throughout the route. Doesn't get targeted on this one. But you see, look at that quick break. Little separation there. Breaks on it quick, but watch this bump. See right there, just playing competitive throughout the route. Ball's still not out. Just little things like that. It's that little competitiveness, that little physicality, stuff like that just makes a big difference when I watch these corners play, because this guy is a guy that can compete. He's done it throughout his career, and he's that type of guy that I just look at and I'm like, that's what play like a Raven means. Again, little small detail, but just something that stood out to me watching this game. Top of your screen again. You see George Pickens. So that's a really important thing here. So watch George Pickens rotate across or motion across. So now we have two stacked receivers, and we're going to drop into cover 3 on this play. See Kyle Hamilton take some depth on his side. And so we see Kyle Hamilton's going to take that middle of the field. You see our Darius Washington, the other split safety. He's going to drop into the middle. And then you got Nate Wiggins as left corner, Trey White as right corner. They're dropping back into cover 3. And so you can see Pickens right off the snap. He's going to go into basically a wheel route. So they're going to use a 9 here. Outside corner is going to run that 9. And you can see George Pickens running an out and up. So you see right there, Trey White, right at this point. Watch Trey White's going to point to Kyle Hamilton. That's his hand right there pointing to Kyle Hamilton. He's saying, that's your guy, because he sees this out and up coming from George Pickens. So as Trey White does that, see how he turns and he's got that eye right on him. Kyle Hamilton's got the initial receiver. So this is that type of zone communication that we've been struggling with all year. The way Mike Evans scored on that touchdown in the Bucs game was almost the exact same play. A motion came across. Mike Evans continued on. Brandon Stevens bit on the player that motioned. Here, you're going to see Trey White pass off that 9 route. He's going to point at Kyle Hamilton and say, that's your guy right there. He's pointing at him. And then he's going to turn back outwards and pick up George Pickens. So doesn't get fooled by that. Vet play, excellent communication. Trey White and Kyle Hamilton passing that off compared to Brandon Stevens and Marcus Williams looks completely different. So stuff like that gets me pretty excited watching this. Minor plays. He only played 20 snaps in terms of, and not all those were, I think 14 were pass coverage, but 14 snaps that I thought looked really solid. You're going to get one here. This one he's going to lose on the in-breaking. This is just, again, looks like they're in zone. He's going to break inwards. Gives up a little separation there. And again, he's going to play on top of a lot of these receivers, take away that deep ball, but he might be more prone to some of those slants. So just showing you guys the full picture, some of the drawbacks. Top of your screen again. Is he in the slot on this? Yeah, he is. He's in the slot. So he's going to come into the slot and match up with George Pickens. And again, see how he's staying on top? He's going to give up that slant that works inside. So again, playing on top of the receiver does have some of its drawbacks, but overall, I like the competitiveness a lot more than with Brandon Stevens. Top of your screen again, he's going to have a real dogfight here with George Pickens. This is something, I think this is the interception. Yeah, so this is going to be one of those. So again, this is the interception play, so there's going to be a long scramble. So watch it, Trey White's competitiveness, top of your screen on George Pickens. See right there. See the physicality? Look at him just matching up on Pickens. Pickens didn't want anything to do with him to end this play. Marlon Humphrey gets that pick. So just competitiveness, physicality, things that we want to see in Ravens corners. Top of your screen again. Take a look at one more. This is just, again, staying on top of that route, right? So this is just something we're going to see constantly from him. Might get beat underneath on some of these. Why is my video lagging? But again, staying on top of that route. And you can see right there, as soon as he makes that contact, I wanted to keep showing you guys this, his head's back to the ball. So the ball had already come out. Darnell Washington catches this over the top. But that's the type of technique at the top of your screen right there. That's the type of stuff that I saw pretty consistently from Trey White. So very different technique to Brandon Stephens. Better outcomes, I thought. Better zone communicator. Specifically going from Stephens and Williams to what it looks like with Trey White and Kyle Hamilton. That's something to really take note of, in my opinion. Not to just shit on Brandon Stephens. We'll take a look at some of his clips now. And then at the end, we'll actually take a look at what could Brandon Stephens' role be in this defense, because I actually think there is a role where he could be a real value add. But Brandon Stephens gave up the most catches, the most yards, all that stuff in this game. Again, right corner on all these snaps, top, bottom of your screen. So we're going to start off with that double move. So this is out of chronological order, but just to show you kind of the big play. So he's going to get beat on that double move. As soon as he does, he gets right in there, rides that hip. Lack of separation, right? Pickens doesn't have a ton of separation on this play. That's one of the things. All of Brandon Stephens' separation metrics are actually some of the best in the league, quite frankly. But because he limits separation, playing trail technique, running on the hip, but doesn't get that head around, he gives up contested catches constantly. So it's frustrating for Ravens fans because the coverage is tight, the coverage is good, and we constantly say these words. You have to make the perfect throw. It has to be a tough catch. And a lot of that's true. And that's why it's such a conundrum with Brandon Stephens. But the fact is, he gives up a lot of catches, and a lot of his catches, his head isn't back around to the ball. That's just a fact. So here he is, top of your screen. He's going to be playing trail technique there. See, and this is his game. So this constant technique, he's going to let Calvin Austin run the top of him. And as soon as his hands go up, he shoots through. He does gets his head around late there. See right here. See that head's back around. So credit him there. Got his head around. And if he got his head around consistently, probably be a Pro Bowler, quite frankly. But he doesn't. So top of your screen on this one, sorry. And so they're just playing loose coverage, soft coverage, bottom of your screen here. You can see right there. And this is where it gets so frustrating with him in zone. I understand what he's doing here because he is in zone here. They're in cover 2, so they want to go 5 across, right? So he's got that flat defender. So he's got to defend basically around the 40-yard line. But he just passed off Cordell Patterson, 84, who's cutting over the middle of the field towards the linebacker right there. I think that's Trent Simpson. Now, Brandon Stephens clearly identifies he's got the tight end there. And so he just passed off the route that was behind him. He's going to have a route right in front of him. Rather than close out on the tight end, he draws back into his zone. And so it's this constant. And some of this, just to be perfectly transparent, some of this could be coaching. They could be being told to give that cushion. But this is the type of zone awareness where I just don't know why you'd give 5 yards cushion to underneath to a tight end. Like if he stays up on him and someone beats him over to the top of his head, he's got 2 high safeties. So if someone was running a crossing route from the opposite side of the field, if it was Pickens on the opposite side of the field running that crossing route, it would have gotten picked up by Kyle Hamilton in that 2 high safety look, or one of the linebackers that's underneath, if it's a mesh type concept. But here, Brandon Stephens goes soft, gives up that catch, and then they get into 3rd and short or 2nd and short. And that's the constant issue with being in short to go situations. Bottom of your screen again here. See that right there? We're back in trail technique. Once again, just his game, right? He's going to give up those plays, get into trail. Not give up those plays, sorry. Give up that space over top of him to play trail technique. We're in tight alignment. We're in trail technique again. Solid route there. That's where it does work well, because if he's facing any breaking routes, because of where he is, as soon as they try and cut back or run a deep out, he is able to latch on to their route really quick. So I'll give him credit there. That's definitely where it is an advantage. Again, Trey White can be beat underneath with some of those comeback routes just by playing over top. Brandon Stephens on the flip side. Here we have another one. There's that softer look again, about 5 yards separation. Again, just playing those deep zones. Pretty consistent thing. George Pickens against him again here. George Pickens runs that, and Stevens gets him out. So again, just getting beat underneath. Now we're playing too soft, but again, I do think some of this is coaching. Brandon Stevens is going to miss the tackle here. So here he's just getting, this is where he's just getting cooked by Pickens, right? So that's really what I saw from the two of them. I do think there is an opportunity, and the Ravens obviously agree because we saw 3 distinct plays where Brandon Stevens was in the slot against the tight ends, or a big slot, but mostly against Pat Freiermuth, and Trey White played the outside. So we've already seen a couple of these. So you're going to see here, Brandon Stevens is going to be Trey White's at the top of your screen in the right corner, across from the tight end at the right slot. So up towards the top of your screen, 10-yard line across. That's Brandon Stevens. And so as a snap comes, this is going to be the interception. So look at Stevens on the tight end. Look how tight he is in coverage there. Playing tight, playing physical. And so this could be a real spot where this kind of used to be Kyle Hamilton's role, right? He'd drop down into the slot. They'd play 2 other safeties up top. Maybe this is something Brandon Stevens can do, because what this does is it allows him to play a lot more physical against guys that can't beat him deep. Pat Freiermuth isn't going to beat you deep. Brandon Stevens can be a physical dude. See him get on top of this route right here and play pretty physical against a tight end. That's something that I think he could do quite well. Again, on this route, he's going to be on the left side, again, across from Pat Freiermuth. So they're in 5 wide here. George Pickens is in the upper slot against Trey White, and then in the lower slot against Pat Freiermuth is Brandon Stevens. And this is going to be that little slant route that we already looked at. You can see right there, Pat Freiermuth is going to run that quick out, and look how quickly Brandon Stevens closes on him. It's just, I think against the slower, bigger guys, Brandon Stevens is a hell of a matchup. And then we get this route here, again, Brandon Stevens in the slot right there running on Pat Freiermuth. And so once again, just against a bigger tight end, he can play that trail technique a little bit better, play a little bit more physical, and he doesn't have to worry about the long speed as much. So there is a real opportunity to get them both on the field at the same time, gives the Ravens more options, and allows them to be a little bit more flexible with Kyle Hamilton. So it'd be like moving him into more of that slot corner, dime DB, safety type role. So I do think we'll see this transition pretty slow. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Should we see Trey White kind of become that starting right corner, use Brandon Stevens in other ways, or has Trey White only had 1 game and not earned it yet? Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Hit subscribe if you're new here. And thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video.